Top of the day, beautiful people. Top of the day. Betwabu, betwabu, betwabu. Today it is Tuesday, January 28th. 28th of January. Where did the mic go? January 28, 2020, day 57. We're reading Deuteronomy 16, 17, and 18. Let me see. All right. Let's make that note real quick. All right, Tiffany, that's waboo, that's waboo. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and get started. If any noise, you hear noise in my background, forgive me. All the kids are up. It's something to bed early, and everybody up like 6, so they all in the living room. All right, so I already told them, be quiet, don't come in the kitchen. All right, chapter 16, Deuteronomy. Observe the month of Abib and keep the Passover unto Yahuwah thy God. For in the month of Abib, Yahuwah thy God brought thee forth out of Egypt by night. Thou shalt therefore sacrifice the Passover unto Yahuwah thy God of the flock of the herd in the place which Yahuwah shall choose to place his name there. Thou shalt eat no leavened bread with it. 7 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread therewith, even the bread of affliction. For thou camest forth out of the land of Egypt in haste, that thou mayest remember the day when thou came forth out of the land of Egypt all the days of thy life. And there shall be no leavened bread seen with thee in all thy coast 7 days, neither shall there anything of flesh which thou sacrifice the first day at evening remain all night until the morning. Remember, the sacrificial meal was eaten. You ate what you can, or whatever was left over, it needed to be burned up before midnight. Thou mayest not sacrifice the Passover within any of thy gates which Yahuwah thy God giveth thee, but at a place which Yahuwah thy God shall choose to place his name in, there thou shalt sacrifice the Passover at evening, and the going down of the sun at this season, at the time thou came forth out of Egypt. And thou shalt roast and eat it in a place which Yahuwah thy God shall choose, and thou shalt turn in the morning and go in unto thy tents. 6 days shalt thou eat unleavened bread, and on the 7th day shall a solemn assembly to Yahuwah thy God. Thou shalt do no work therein. 7 weeks shalt thou number unto thee. Begin to number the 7 weeks from such time as thou beginnest to put the sickle to the corn. And thou shalt keep the feast of weeks until Yahuwah thy God, with a tribute of a freewill offering of thy hand, which thou shalt give unto Yahuwah thy God, according as Yahuwah thy God hath blessed thee. And thou shalt rejoice before Yahuwah thy God, thou and thy son and thy daughter, and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite that is within thy gates, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are among you, in the place which Yahuwah thy God hath chosen to place his name there. And thou shalt remember that thou wast a bondman in Egypt, and thou shalt observe and do these statutes. Thou shalt observe the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days. After that thou hast gathered in thy corn and thy wine. And thou shalt rejoice in thy feast, thou and thy son and thy daughter, and thy manservant and thy maidservant, and the Levite, and the stranger, and the fatherless, and the widow that are within thine gates. 7 days shalt thou keep a solemn feast unto Yahuwah thy God, in the place which Yahuwah shall choose. Because Yahuwah thy God shall bless thee in all thine increase, and in all thine works of thy hands. Therefore thou shalt surely rejoice. 3 times a year shall all thy males appear before Yahuwah thy God in the place which he shall choose, in the feast of unleavened bread, in the feast of weeks, and in the feast of tabernacles, and they shall not appear before Yahuwah empty. Every man shall give as he is able, according to the blessing of Yahuwah thy God, which he hath given thee. Judges and officers shalt thou make thee in all thy gates, which Yahuwah thy God giveth thee throughout thy tribes, and they shall judge thy people with just judgment. Thou shalt not wrest judgment, thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise, and pervert the words of the righteous. That which is altogether just shalt thou follow, that thou may live and inherit the land which Yahuwah thy God give thee. Thou shalt not plant thee a grove of any trees near unto the altar of Yahuwah thy God, which thou shalt make unto thee. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image which Yahuwah thy God hateth. Chapter 17 of Deuteronomy. Thou shalt not sacrifice unto Yahuwah thy God any bullock or sheep wherein is blemish, or any evil favoredness, for that is an abomination unto Yahuwah thy God. If there be found among you within any of thy gates which Yahuwah thy God giveth thee, man or woman that have wrought wickedness in the sight of Yahuwah thy God, in transgressing his covenant, and hath gone and served other gods and worshipped them, either the sun or the moon or any other host of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told thee, and thou hast heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold, if it be true, and the thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Israel, then thou shalt bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto thy gates. Even that man or that woman shalt thou stone with stones till they die. And the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hands of all the people. So thou shalt put the evil away from among you. If there arise a matter too hard for thee in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within thy gates, then thou shalt arise and get thee up into the place which Yahuwah thy God shall choose. And thou shalt come unto the priests, the Levites, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show thee the sentence of judgment. And thou shalt do according to the sentence which they that of the place which Yahuwah shall choose shall show thee. And thou shalt observe to do according to all that they inform thee, according to the sentence of the law which they shall teach thee, and according to the judgment which they shall tell thee, thou shalt do. Thou shalt not decline from the sentence which they shall show thee, to the right hand or to the left. And the man that will do presumptuously and will not hearken unto the priest that standeth to minister there before Yahuwah thy God, or unto the judge, even that man shall die, and thou shalt put away the evil from Israel.
Hey, I'm the bad guy.
You the bad guy? Be the bad guy in there. Bad guy. You gotta watch where you're running, okay? That's what happened to bad guys. He tripped on the carpet running through the hall. Y'all heard it. Y'all had to hear that. My grandbaby. Father help us. And all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously. When thou art come into the land which Yahuwah thy God giveth thee, and shall possess it. I should not be laughing at that. And shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations there about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him over thee, whom Yahuwah thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses unto himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as Yahuwah has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more unto that way. Neither shall he multiply wives unto himself, that his heart not turn away. Neither shall he greatly multiply unto himself silver and gold. Listen, we talk about the king. Remember, we talked about this before. I know it was like, oh, King David had multiple wives, and what about Solomon and stuff? Yes, they didn't follow directions, because he said these are the rules. Because I mean, what happened when they did this? When they broke those rules, their hearts got turned away, right? And they started doing things that they should not have done. I read that again, verse 17. Neither shall he multiply wives unto himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be, when he sitteth upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this law in a book out of that which is before the priests, the Levites. And it shall be with him, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahuwah his God, to keep all the words of this law and the statutes to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel. So it was required of every king to get a copy of the book of instruction or the Tula or the Torah, and he was to handwrite it himself. A lot of people don't do that today. There's probably maybe not even a handful of people that do that, because we have all the electronics and stuff. But in the process of writing that, you're not just mindlessly writing. You had to be careful with writing, making sure you didn't make any kind of mistakes. I mean, if you did, I'm sure there was a way to correct it. I don't know. Maybe one line or something, I don't know. But all those words as you were writing them, you were like getting them in. Your hand was writing them. You were seeing them. You were hearing them if you was reading out loud while you were going, but you were reading it. It was getting into you. And so you had to write your own copy. And that was the copy that you were to keep with you all the days of your rule of your life. And you were to read it daily. And it tells you why. That his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, and that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Israel or Yisrael. All right, last chapter for today, Deuteronomy chapter 18. The priests, the Levites, and all the tribe of Levi or Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat of the offerings of Yahuwah made by fire in his inheritance. Therefore they shall have no inheritance among their brethren. Yahuwah is their inheritance, as he has said unto them. And this shall be the priest's due from the people, from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be ox or sheep. And they shall give unto the priest the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the maw. The first fruit also of thy corn, and of thy wine, and of thine oil, and of the first of the fleece of thy sheep shall thou give unto him. And for Yahuwah thy God have chosen him out of all thy tribes to stand to minister in the name of Yahuwah, him and his sons forever. And if a Levite come from any of thy gates out of all of Israel, where he is sojourned, and come with all the desire of his mind into the place which Yahuwah shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of Yahuwah his God, as all his brethren the Levites do, which stand there before Yahuwah. And they shall have like portions to eat, besides that which cometh to the sale of his patrimony. When thou art come into the land which Yahuwah thy God doth give thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consultant with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahuwah, and because of these abominations, Yahuwah thy God doth drive them out from before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahuwah thy God, for these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto the observers of the times. Hey, Bella, quit being so loud. Here she comes.
Mom!
Yes.
Jace, my leg!
Jace, don't hit her in her leg.
He's faceless. And he's faceless.
For these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto these observers of times, and unto the diviners. But as for thee, Yahuwah thy God hath not suffered thee so to do. Yahuwah thy God will raise up unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken. And who they were talking about here? They were talking about Joshua. The son of Nun. That's who they were talking about. I'll read that again. Yahuwah thy God will raise unto thee a prophet from the midst of thee, of thy brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that thou desirest of Yahuwah thy God in Horeb in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not again hear the voice of Yahuwah my God, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And Yahuwah said unto me, They have well spoken that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto thee, and will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I command him. Remember, that's Joshua. It's not that is, when it's being read here, that is a future prophecy, but Joshua, who was to take Moses' place or Manasseh's place, that's the prophet that he will raise up from the midst of them people to speak to them people after Moses was not to lead them anymore after he passed. So it was Joshua. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other gods, even that prophet shall die. And if thou shalt say in thine heart, how shall we know the word which Yahuwah hath not spoken? When a prophet speaketh in the name of Yahuwah, if that thing follow not, nor come to pass, that thing which Yahuwah hath not spoken, but the prophet hath spoken it presumptuously, thou shalt not be afraid of him. All right, y'all. And that is our reading for today. Deuteronomy 16, 17, and 18. It is Tuesday, January 28, 2020, day 57 of year 2 of reading through the books of instruction and the prophets. All right, y'all. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to bless us so we can get about our day. All right. The blessing comes from where? That is correct. Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. May Yahuwah bless us and keep us. May Yahuwah make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. May Yahuwah lift up his countenance upon us and give us his peace, or his shalom, or his salam, or his wholeness in all areas of our life and all that concerns us. May he do unto us. All right, y'all. I love y'all, and I will see you in the morning. Peace.